What's happening, guys? Kenny here again, and today I've got another hype versus reality for you guys. And what that's going to be about today is this little guy. That's right, folks. This is the Spyderco Positron. This is a Brad Southard collaboration. And I know you guys have probably seen the other one that was a collaboration with Brad Southard, which is the Southard. Yeah, this is a nice medium-sized knife with carbon fiber scales and everything. And I'm not sure how many of these they have done with Brad Southard, but this is the second one I know of. I think there is a third, but I'm not sure. This is manufactured in the Taichung factory. And as you guys know, if you guys have watched my hype versus reality videos before, I do have a method to the madness. And what that's going to be is, first I'll start with the specs, the size comparisons, and then I'll go into the hype, which will entail whether it be the community hype or personal hype or manufacturer, distributor hype, whatever. Then I'll go into the reality of what did it meet that hype? Did it live up to the hype? So in saying that, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go ahead and put the specs on the page right here. I don't want to waste your guys' time spewing off a bunch of specs. So I do it in this manner. And then I'll go ahead and bring you guys back. And we'll go ahead and do some size comparisons. First things first, I'll bring out some Spydercos. I do want to give a big shout out and thank you to the guy, to my longtime sub and buddy, Chris Sabo. I know you guys have probably, if you've been following my channel enough, you've probably seen him comment and everything. Chris is a really cool dude. He's been around since the beginning of my channel, really. A lot of the inspiration keeping me going, was Chris and a lot of guys like him. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for the loaner to check this little guy out. He also let me see the domino, which if you watch that video, you'll see more of the stuff that came in that package. Here is a Hank that Chris gave to me, which is really nice. Just the whole thing was really, really nice of Chris. Thank you so much, buddy. I will go ahead and link his Instagram screen name, which is, I think it's PGHEDC. And I forget his YouTube screen name, but I'll go ahead and link that as well. Thanks so much, buddy. I really appreciate it. Really like this Scar Hank as well. So I'll go ahead and leave that up here, or put it right there in the corner. And then we'll go ahead and bring out some size comparisons. First things first, I'll bring in the Para 3. And another gift that he threw in that box was this deep carry MXG clip, which he knows I always have some room for an MXG clip with all the different Para 3s I have. So thanks again, Chris. It's really above and beyond by you. And as you guys can see, the Para 3 is a larger knife for sure. Although you can see the blade length's right about the same, right around 3 inches. So yeah, just a little more handle here with that forward choil and stuff. Then I'll go ahead and bring in the Native, which is actually pretty much the same length overall, but you have your finger choil, so you'll have less cutting edge. Get those out of the way. Go ahead and bring in some Benchmades. We've got the bug out here, obviously a larger knife, and then the mini grip, which is going to be pretty much dead on with what you're going to get. Maybe a little bit less handle on the grip, on the mini grip, but a little bit smaller blade as well, but really similar size, so you guys kind of know what you're getting if you have a mini grip. Then I'll go ahead and bring in a budget option with the Manly knives. This is the Wasp S90V, really similar size knife. Also, I'll bring in, this is the MBK mini pin. Min pin, mini pin. The Min pin. This is a Laconico design. As you guys can see, that's a very similar size knife as well. The Min pin. Then I've got the Chris Reeves Small Sabenza Insingo. That's right, guys. That's a new one to the channel. I'm loving this guy. Thanks to a sub and Instagram guy, New York John. Thanks, buddy, for the deal on that. Really similar size knife. And that's it. So I'll moving along. I'll go ahead and talk about the hype. And the hype on this guy, guys, there's not a lot of hype for me. I didn't hear a whole lot of hype on this, but you know, with it being Taichung, Taiwan, you know, there's definitely a little bit of hype of fit and finish and negative hype with, like, you know, hard edges or sharp edges and stuff like that. Not the sharp edges you want, but more like spidey holes and stuff. Also, it's a good EDC size, nice size for like a fifth pocket too for some guys. If you like a smaller knife, secondary knife, it is a really good size for that. It also fits in that, you know, 3 inches and under kind of category for legal, you know, for your legal options. But yeah, overall, I think, you know, for me, I didn't really see a lot of hype coming into this. You know, carbon fiber handles should be pretty light. You know, deep carry wire clip, which I like. There wasn't a whole lot of hype for me. This was just kind of one of those things where I really wanted to try the Domino. He was like, "Hey, you want to? I'll throw this Spyderco Positron in there," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to check it out." So, really cool, Chris. I like checking stuff out that I don't have any preconceived notions about. So that's kind of cool. I like that, and yeah. So thanks a lot, Chris. And going into the reality when I got it out of box, which, you know, because there wasn't a lot of hype, it was like pretty much like just go for it and see what you think. And I did, you know, first things first, I'll talk about the you know, fit and finish, which is done extremely well. We are talking about the Spyderco Taichung factory, which seems to do a really good job. As you guys can see, this is solid carbon fiber. You can see that there. And then it seems to be a carbon fiber backspacer as well. I might be wrong. That might be G10. So I'm not really sure if the backspacer is G10 or carbon fiber, but it does seem to be G10. I'm not sure though. I'll go ahead and put on the page here if I find out that it's different, but I think it might be carbon fiber backspacer as well. Centering is dead on. This does have stainless steel liners pretty much all the way through the handle. You'll see that come all the way to the back, and that does support the liner lock. As you guys saw, this is S30V, and it does have a really pretty stonewash like mirror polish on it, which I then scratched somehow. I think it might have happened on the KME, but I don't know how that happened. I do have a stop where it stops before the edge of the stone, so I don't know how that could have happened. I don't know if it happened in use, but yeah, I already told Chris about it. He was really cool about it. I offered to buy the knife because I felt bad, but he was cool about it. I guess it's going to be a user for him, so he doesn't really care. As you guys can see, that is a 15-degree edge on that. I'll talk more about that when I get into blade. Yeah, really nice fit and finish on this guy. The Spyderco Spidey clip, the wire clip, always a good option. Yeah, really, really beautiful carbon fiber, guys. Really beautiful. And the fit and finish is done really well. And really, guys, as far as the Taichung factory here, really nicely chamfered. Maybe because of the stonewash polish, but there are no sharp edges on the jimping, anything. I really love the way this jimping's done. It's like perfect amount of grip. So that's done extremely well. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about the action, which, as you guys can see, firing this thing with the flipper tab is pretty, brainless. It does lend itself to more of a pull. See that? How it's got the jimping on the top. But see how you do have to go with some intention. You can't just like, you can break that detent. It does have good detent, but it's not like, you'll see here. Sucks it in, but it's not like amazing detent. But as long as you pull with some intention, it'll fire every time. And you almost have to fail it on purpose. Also, you can push button it, load up, and push button works really well also. And yeah, that's done really nice. As far as like the lines of this knife, I think it looks a little funny. I'm sorry, I should probably finish with the action. Dropping action. So the dropping action, like closing action, it does drop down very nicely. This is, you see that? That's where it gets on top of the tang right there. So there's plenty of room when you drop it down to get past the tang with the detent, and then from there it's just kind of a light shake shut. Not like full on drop shut type action, but pretty light shake. And you can just swing it in if you want to like swing it in one shot. Once you get better at it, it does swing in nicely. Doesn't bounce or anything. So that's really nice. And then action is really just a flipper tab, because this Spidey hole is, you can get your, just if you get your nail on it, sometimes I could flip it, but it's really just not. It's just there for aesthetics. You're not going to be using it for your thumb. You could pinch it and then use your thumb. That's what I did do occasionally, was pinch it and grab it by that hole and then finish it with the hole. But not something you're going to be Spidey flicking or anything. Something to note. And yeah, I thought the action was fun, but nothing spectacular, which isn't, you know, the make or break moment anyways. But yeah, as far as the aesthetics of the knife, I really didn't love it. Like, I don't love the way this looks. I think it looks a little goofy, to be honest. The way that the blade's at a different angle. It just, nothing lines up in my opinion. I do like this type of handle. It does fit the hand well with that like swell, and you get like 2 points of leverage there. I really do like that, and it works well. So I like the handle shape as far as design goes. Don't love the look of the design though, which isn't all, you know, like I don't love the look of the Spidey Chef, but I absolutely love the function of that knife, so it doesn't really matter. In this case, I don't love the look, and as far as function goes, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the blade here, put up some footage of me cutting with the knife. I was surprised by the thickness behind the edge on this knife. It does have a pretty thin stock, so I expected to have it, you know, be fairly thin behind the edge, but this knife was not as thin as I would have expected. The blade thickness is about it's about 118 thousandths, which would be like 0.118. And that's pretty much standard. Like, you know, your 940s and stuff like that are right around that same blade stock thickness. And this thing just doesn't come down to a very thin behind the edge dimension. Just kind of like a 940. But this is full flat ground, so I expected to see a little bit thinner dimension there. And as far as, like, I mean, it was a decent slicer because of the thickness of the stock, but because of that behind the edge dimension, it just didn't slice as well as I thought it would, to be honest. Once I put my edge on it, because it did start with the factory edge, and that was really pretty obtuse and just not very sharp when I got it. I don't know how much use that Chris put on it. It just wasn't extremely sharp when I got it. So I did sharpen it up. I went to 15 degrees, especially due to this knife going to Outpost 76. Gerald is going to be cut testing this knife. So yeah, I needed to put 15 degrees on it, and Chris went ahead and approved that I could put 15 degrees on it. So I did, and when I did, it did perform much better. It performed pretty well, especially with that blade stock thickness. it definitely was a slicer once I put that 15 degree on it. Although still, you know, I could tell that the behind the edge dimension wasn't that great, especially with getting the domino at the same time as this knife. Yeah, the domino is just on a whole nother level as far as blade geometry. So, and you can see I put them both at 15 degrees per side, and the domino is like half the bevel size. So you could totally tell that I knew that this was going to be extremely thick behind the edge. So, or I shouldn't say extremely, but, you know, thick behind the edge. As far as ergonomics, I'm going to get more into this as I bring you guys back, but the ergonomics of this knife just did not mesh with my hand. And I'll explain, like I said, I'll explain more, which I'm going to bring you back here in a second. I don't have a whole lot of cutting footage to show you guys, but I did want to put it up there. I mean, I did cut quite a bit. I just didn't get it all on film here. And yeah, I'm going to talk about this blade a little bit more before I get into the ergonomics. I'm going to go ahead and bring the calipers in. Zero this out. You guys can see how thick that bevel is at 15 degrees. So 0.19, about 19 thousandths, which really isn't bad, guys. It looks worse than it is. It's just because of the, I'd say about 20 thousandths. Looks worse than it is because of getting the 19, getting the domino at the same time. That's why this looks bad, but otherwise it's really not. It's kind of standard Spyderco. Up at the tip, you know, it's gonna get thick. Yeah, 28 thousandths. But yes, it's actually not as bad as I thought at 19 thousandths. I thought that was gonna be thicker here, but yeah, it's pretty much standard geometry for Spydercos. That's what most of my pair of threes are, is about 19 thousandths, or 19 to 20 thousandths. And I know a lot of other people say like 20 thousandths is standard Spyderco. I have not found that. The ones I've gotten seem to usually be a little bit thinner behind the edge, but maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. But yeah, moving on, as far as the blade goes, it cut well. It wasn't as amazingly slicing as I thought it was going to be, but it really did cut well. I think the part that kind of ruined it for me personally was actually the handle ergonomics. And it doesn't actually have much to do with the ergonomics of the handle because of, I mean, it actually is very contoured, and the shape of the handle is done extremely well. Everything is chamfered beautifully. So it's really not the handle that ruins it for me. It's this clip. I love the Spyderco wire clip for the most part, but with this knife, which it is reversible, guys, by the way. So this is a really ambidextrous knife, except for the liner lock, which is still very easy to actuate with your left hand. But yeah, what I found is that this clip is just in no man's land. I don't know what they could have done differently, because I don't know where they would have put it, but it's not a lot of space for a clip there. But yeah, this thing really bugged me at the top here. It just, you notice this clip all day long when you're using it. It just hurts sometimes, you know. I mean, even just now you see where the lines where it's hitting, and it's just not ideal. It really isn't. It just bugged me the whole time during cutting, which, I mean, in all reality, there's no sharp surfaces here, so it's not like it digs in or anything. It doesn't cut you. It's not like sharp jimping or something like that. What it is that it's kind of gaudy, and it's just in there, and you feel it the whole time. It's not like, even the MXG, you feel it back there, but it's nice and flat. There's no, like, it's not something that's gonna dig in eventually. With, like, even the Spyderco spoon clip, there's the flat at the back, so it's not really digging in. It more digs in right here than it does back here. But I actually find this clip on this to be less obtrusive. This just kind of right away I was like, man, I do not like where they put that. Maybe if they put it here, you know, like where this starts here and that lands there, maybe that would be more comfortable. I don't know. Maybe they tried that and found it didn't really work out. Maybe they put this here just because that's where that screw was and it made it easy. I don't know. But I will say that that clip placement is pretty bad for me. It just doesn't, ergonomically, it just doesn't work out. I do like the fact that you get all this cutting edge out of such a small knife. And that's kind of the idea behind it. You know, Brad Southard was thinking like, I want a full, you know, fully capable knife in a smaller package, and that's what you get here. It is nice. You got a nice lot of blade there. So it's nice about that in the function. I just don't love the ergonomics. And carry, the thing carries pretty amazingly. We've got it all zeroed out here. Yeah, about 2.58 ounces. Cannot complain about that. It is nice and light in the pocket. The carbon fiber scales help with that. And then full liners as well. So it's not like they're sacrificing liners. Really well done as far as carry goes. And I did carry this in my 5th pocket in a lot of my jeans and stuff. And it was a perfect, you know, like secondary knife for cutting boxes open and stuff, or letters. And then if I, you know, I would carry something bigger for, you know, like something like this if I needed to cut up a bunch of boxes. So, yeah, that's where I'm at on this guy. I didn't love it, to be honest. It's done well. Oh, another thing to point out, yeah, the way they terminate this edge, I've never had so much trouble with a Spyderco as far as like using a fixed system. So if you guys are using a fixed system, you almost have to angle this blade like this to come at it with the right angle with the stones. If you're using freehand, it's really no issue probably. You could just put the blade at an angle like this as you sharpen. But that's kind of funky with that plunge grind. Kind of wish they just went up at a more direct angle. It also would have made the edge, you know, it would have not had this line right here, which usually when you're cutting, you're pulling through like this anyways, so you're not going to get caught on that. But sometimes if you're pushing through, you might get caught on that. But I don't think it's something to even think about. I think more so with just sharpening. I wish it would have been at like more of an angle like that. I know he was probably trying to match the lines, but I don't know. There is no lines on this knife except for they all go in different directions. So I don't know. I don't really love the way he terminated that edge. But yeah, just another thing I'm kind of harping on this knife with. I really didn't love it, and I know that kind of is shown in my review, but all around, I think it's a decent knife. I do think that this would work well for some people. I don't know if Chris likes it or not. I hope he does. But I'm sorry, Chris, if you do like it, and I'm kind of bashing it a little bit here, but I can understand why you'd like it. It's on bearings, very smooth action, very fun to play with, very capable knife, you know, nice, long, a lot of cutting edge for such a small knife. Done very well. And overall, I think it's done well. It's not for me personally, guys. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. I want to do a huge thank you and shout out to Chris again. Thanks so much, buddy, for everything, for being such a loyal sub and you know, buddy over the last year, and then also for lending me these knives. Really awesome. And then the gifts, dude, just above and beyond. Thank you so much for the gifts. And he gave me some stickers as well and some other stuff. I just didn't want to round it all up today. But hey, thanks a lot. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found some, found some information in here, or I helped you make a decision. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.